So very recently, Creation Club was finally released by Bethesda. This was pretty big. It's something that was announced quite a while ago. A lot of controversy at the announcement, a lot of controversy at the release. In a lot of my videos covering the topic, I was kind of going in with an open mind. I think the execution of it right now, and even the presentation of it back at E3, was really poor. The program has a lot of potential and a lot of ways in which it could be cool, but I know a lot of people don't agree with me, and that's totally okay. But it actually got me thinking, well, how long has Bethesda been trying to do this? Obviously, we had paid mods a really long time ago. That was back with Skyrim on Steam Workshop, and it was more or less just a partnership between Bethesda and Valve to simply put out paid mods. There was no hiding it or trying to twist it into something better as what they're doing with Creation Club. A lot of people disagree. They say, no, it's mini DLC, but in my eyes, it is simply paid mods 2.0. But again, how long has Bethesda been trying to do this? I actually kind of thought about this for a little while, and I came up with something that maybe is a little bit surprising. And that's how Bethesda has been trying to monetize the mod for a pretty long time, at least in my eyes. So let's go all the way back to the release of Fallout 4. In a lot of the advertising and really just public displays of the game, modding was always a big push. Xbox One got like the E3 rights and all that for Fallout 4, so in a lot of that you saw at the end mods going to be available on Xbox One. This definitely was a big deal. Mods coming to PS4 and Xbox One would be pretty revolutionary. It was one of those things that really was exclusive to PC players previously and now is being brought to consoles. None of the dismay of many, modding wasn't a seamless release with Fallout 4, especially when compared to New Vegas or even Skyrim. The official mod tools on PC weren't released until about April, even though a lot of modding was done already through some unofficial tools. But considering the game was released in November, not getting official mod support even on the most moddable platform, PC, until 5 months after the game's release is pretty problematic. And then even further, despite all of the advertisement and talk about mods on consoles, those weren't even close to being ready. Finally, in May, between the two major DLCs for Fallout 4, we did get mods on Xbox One. This was a really big deal, and a lot of people were super psyched about this when it was released. PS4 users still in the dark kinda, but this video is about the monetization of the mod. A lot of people, me included, think Fallout 4 had some mediocre DLC because Bethesda was banking on mods to kind of augment that. Now, I think this is the weakest example out of all of the monetization examples I'm going to give you, but regardless, if you actually look at the DLC for Fallout 4 and compare it to any other Bethesda game, it's pretty lackluster. The Workshop DLCs are pretty much universally looked at as pretty crappy. The Robot DLC is probably the best out of those, if you even consider that one a Workshop DLC. I feel like it's more of a hybrid than anything else. But we typically get 4 Nuka World or Far Harbor sized DLCs with a Bethesda game, but this time we only got 2, and a bunch of these other Workshop things that a lot of people didn't even like. Settlement mode was meant to be optional, but Bethesda decided to create a ton of the DLC focused around just that mode. So again, a lot of people in the community were like, well, with the addition of modding on consoles, they probably just viewed it as, hey, the mods will sell the games and the DLC don't necessarily have to. The mods are going to be the things giving that game replayability. Now let me remind you, this is coming directly off of paid mods. Fallout 4 was the next release after Bethesda's attempt at that with Valve, so it was definitely in their heads that there is some monetization opportunities with modding in Fallout and Skyrim. Todd Howard was even quoted as saying, click on the stuff you want and start playing a game with these new mods. So we want it to be really streamlined and a fun experience. They wanted mods to be a very integral part of Fallout 4 and be a huge part of the game you are experiencing. And at least in my eyes, I definitely think you can make the connection there between the inclusion of modding on consoles and the lackluster DLCs. But then moving forward, we do have Skyrim Special Edition. So I think this is a monetization of mods that Bethesda played the PR game properly with. If you guys don't know, Skyrim Special Edition was a new release of Skyrim, and it had a lot of back-end improvements as well as some minor visual ones. Some of the god rays and stuff like that were improved. The game was updated from just a 32-bit to now be 64-bit, which I don't fully understand, but I get that that makes it more stable, especially when using it with a lot of mods. But again, I think Bethesda played the PR game with this one very good. Basically, this was going to be sold to Xbox One and PS4 users, but be free for PC users that did buy Skyrim with all the DLC. At this point, most people had Skyrim with all the DLC. It was like 5 or 6 years after the game's release, and a lot of Steam sales later, most people had it in their library. So at the time, I was actually against this, and I was definitely in the minority. I called out Bethesda saying that they're releasing it for free on PC, so the modders will jump into that new ecosystem and start releasing mods on Bethesda.net, but at the same time, they are selling it to console users just using the mods that the PC players are creating for free, let me remind you, to push sales on the consoles. I thought this was very bad, and I thought the mod author should be getting some kind of cut of of game sales or something like that, some program to give back to the modding community. Because at the end of the day, Skyrim Special Edition on consoles without mods wouldn't have sold nearly as well as it did. But a lot of people disagreed with me. Again, I think Bethesda played the PR game here well. The fact that they gave it for free to PC users made a lot of them happy, but at the same time, Xbox One and PS4 users were just happy to finally get mods on their new consoles. In addition, obviously, this was now available on the next-gen consoles rather than the old Skyrim being available on the past-gen consoles. But regardless here, I definitely think Skyrim Special Edition is a great example of how mods sold a video game, and a video game at $60. I think that's a decent example with Fallout 4, but a lot of people were just excited to play Fallout 4. So then finally, this brings us all to Creation Club, the next iteration of the monetization of mods, and this time obviously a lot more direct. I'm sure if you're watching this video or you've been watching any of my videos as of late, you know what Creation Club is, but put simply, it is these little mini add-on DLCs that Bethesda contracts different mod authors to make and will sell them through the game for a certain amount of money. It's not only done by mod authors, a lot of the stuff's actually being built by Bethesda internally as well, but regardless, a lot of the outcry about it is the pricing just seems very off and the mods themselves being produced aren't really all that high quality, with a lot of free alternatives that are of equal or better quality. So what's going on here? Why is Bethesda doing this? I actually think they're taking a similar approach to what Rockstar's been doing, or even Valve at the same time. Both of those companies used to produce games pretty regularly. Bethesda hasn't necessarily stopped producing games, but it seems like they're trying to expand the monetizability of some of their older games through the use of modding. Fallout 4 considered one of the weakest games in the series, having the worst DLC that pretty much everyone agrees on. Bethesda was hoping this would be band-aided by the addition of mods on consoles. Skyrim Special Edition, very blatant that they were basically selling the use of modability on consoles and making a lot of money as a result. Finally, we graduate to Creation Club, where Bethesda wants Fallout 4 and Skyrim to have very long lifespans due to the use of mods and the consistent addition of new content. Although not free new content, this is new content that you have to pay for. So although a loose comparison, I think it's similar to Valve in the sense that Valve used to produce video games, now they just have Steam. The consistent sale of other people's games brings Valve way more money than they were making with video games. Obviously CSGO and Dota are huge, but they kind of transitioned rather than producing a new game every few years to providing updates and getting more money out of one single game, similar to what Bethesda's doing with Fallout 4 and Skyrim. They're going to now produce a ton of modding content that you can purchase in order to continue to generate revenue and really expand Skyrim and Fallout 4. Something very similar was done with Rockstar and Grand Theft Auto 5. Shark cards are a huge thing. It's basically a meme at this point as to people just paying absorbent amounts of money for this in-game currency in order to continue playing some of the different smaller DLC packs they do release, as well as just playing online with their friends. I think Bethesda's looking at that, realizing that's the direction this industry is going and trying to get in on it with mods. Bethesda games have always been known for their modding capabilities, and I think this is just kind of the graduated version of it. They're now trying to implement that in a paid model. So this is pretty long. Hopefully you guys found this video at least entertaining. I think more than anything else, it's food for thought, but I definitely think you see a clear trend here where compared to previous Fallouts, this new generation of games from Bethesda has modding as an integral part of the game, but also an integral part of their sales for those games and the amount of money they are making off these games. Previously, modding was just something that was kind of free and only done by PC users. As always, I thank you guys for watching. I do hope you enjoyed this video. I will be reading through the comments, so hopefully we can have some sort of conversation about this. As always, again, and thank you guys for watching. I do hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you all next time. Later.